Before the world learned how to move faster, it forgot how to remember. We built cities that touched the sky, yet buried the wisdom that once held us together. This is a story about what happens when progress walks ahead, and meaning is left behind. Listen closely, because some truths do not return twice. Laddie had lived in his newly rented apartment for 2 months before the room revealed itself to him. It was a modest one-bedroom flat in a quiet part of the city. It was painted cream, with cracked tiles that whispered no mysteries because landlords fixed only what screamed loud enough. Nothing about the place suggested it held any secrets. It was the kind of apartment you rented because it was affordable, not because it felt like home. And yet, it seemed the room which was about to be discovered had been there all along. Or perhaps it had been waiting for the right person to find it. That Saturday morning, sunlight filtered lazily through the curtains as Laddie sorted through his clothes. He had always been an orderly man, folding shirts with care, arranging trousers by color, keeping life predictable. Predictability gave him comfort. It made the world feel controllable. As he bent to place a stack of shirts into the wardrobe, his fingers brushed against something cold and unfamiliar. A knob. It was fixed to the wall beside the wardrobe, half hidden behind hanging coats. Too low to be decorative. Too deliberate to be accidental. Laddie frowned, for he was certain he had never seen it before. He pushed the clothes aside and stared. The knob was old, wooden, darkened by time. Around it, the wall bore faint lines, like seams that had learned how to hide themselves. For a long moment, he stood still, listening to the hum of the world outside his house, cars honking as they passed, a neighbor's radio playing hip-hop music. Then he thought that the door might have been an entrance before it was sealed, since he knew that the wall led directly to the backyard of the house. But curiosity is a stubborn thing. So he twisted the knob. The wall sighed as though it was cracking. Then it suddenly opened and a narrow wooden door swung inward, revealing darkness so deep it swallowed the light from the room. Cold air rushed out, carrying a scent Laddie couldn't place, dust, earth, and something ancient, like forgotten rain. His breath caught. His heartbeat quickened. This was not possible. The apartment blueprint he'd seen showed no extra rooms. No hidden spaces. Just walls and measurements that made sense. Yet here it was. Before fear could fully take hold, something else stirred within him, an invisible pull, gentle but insistent, like a hand placed softly on his back. Just a look, he whispered, though no one was listening. He stepped forward, and the moment he crossed the threshold, the world behind him dissolved. Laddie stumbled and nearly fell. He found himself standing beneath a vast sky washed in a dull, colorless light. The air was heavy, unmoving. The wind seemed absent. There were no birds in the sky. No distant sounds of life. Before him stretched an impossible sight. Thousands of mansions. They stood in rows and clusters, some towering, others sprawling, built from stone, clay, marble, and materials Laddie could not name. Their designs were grand, regal, echoing ancient kingdoms and forgotten cities. Pillars rose proudly. Arches curved with elegant defiance. Carvings of symbols, faces, and beasts adorned the walls. Yet everything was still. No smoke from chimneys. No footsteps. No voices. The trees scattered among the buildings were skeletal, their branches twisted and lifeless. Leaves lay frozen on the ground, never decaying, never renewed. Laddie turned slowly, dread creeping into his chest. There were no people. Not a single soul. Despite the fear and confusion, he walked toward the nearest mansion. Its doors were open, inviting, as though the occupants had stepped out and never returned. Inside, time had stopped. Furniture stood intact, thrones, beds, tables heavy with craftsmanship. Plates rested on dining tables, food long turned to stone. Weapons leaned against walls. Scrolls lay open, mid-sentence. Evidence of life, without life itself. What happened here? Laddie whispered. His voice echoed strangely, bouncing off empty halls as if the world itself were listening to him. He wandered from house to house, each revealing the same haunting truth, a civilization that had reached unimaginable heights, then vanished without struggle or ruin. There were no signs of war. No blood. No fire. Just absence. Hours, or what felt like hours, passed. Hunger never came. Neither did thirst. And the sky never shifted. Time, it seemed, had no authority here. Then he saw the cave. It sat at the edge of the city, carved into a jagged cliff that rose sharply against the pale sky. Smoke curled faintly from its mouth. Smoke meant life, Laddie thought, and quickly ran towards it. When he arrived, he found an elderly man sitting before the cave, hunched, feeding a small fire with dry sticks. He wore animal skins wrapped crudely around his body. His hair was long and gray, his beard wild, his skin etched with lines deeper than age alone could carve. He did not look surprised to see Laddie. That, somehow, was the most unsettling part. "You are late," the old man said. His voice was rough, hollow, like wind scraping stone. Laddie froze. Late, for what? The old man poked the fire, sparks leaping upward. For understanding. Laddie's eyes darted toward the grand mansions behind him. Why are you living here? In a cave. Those houses, those palaces, they are empty. You could live like a king inside them. The old man laughed. It was not a joyful sound. They are tombs, he said. Laddie frowned. Tombs don't look like this. They do, the old man replied softly, when a civilization dies of excess. Silence stretched between them. You said I'm late, Laddie said carefully. Where am I? The old man finally looked up. His eyes were dark, endless, as if they held centuries within them. Then he said, you are in the past. And in the future. And in the place your world is rushing toward. Laddie shook his head. That's not possible. Neither was that door, the man responded calmly. The fire crackled. This world, the old man continued, was built by people who mastered everything: stone, science, power, comfort. They conquered hunger, defeated disease, bent nature to their will. Then where did they go? Laddie asked. They forgot how to live, the old man responded and gestured toward the empty city. The people built mansions because they feared death. They filled rooms with things to distract themselves from meaning. They chased pleasure, convenience, endless progress. Laddie felt uneasy. The words felt close. They stopped asking why, the man said. And when a people forget why it exists, existence becomes unbearable. So they destroyed themselves. Laddie asked. No, the old man replied. They simply stopped being. The old man leaned closer and said. They slept. And never woke up. Laddie swallowed. You live in a world like theirs, the old man continued. A world that is busy, loud, full. Yet hollow. That's not true, Laddie protested weakly. The old man smiled sadly and said. When last did you sit with silence and didn't fear it? Laddie had no answer. Then the old man stood slowly, his bones creaking like ancient wood, and he said. I stayed behind because I remembered. You remembered what? Laddie asked in haste. The old man looked at him and said, I remembered that life is not found in buildings. Nor in comfort. Nor in escape. He paused for a while, touching his chest, and said. Life is found in awareness. The fire flickered. Laddie stood still, processing the words. You came here because your world is forgetting, the old man said. And because you are standing at a crossroads. Laddie's heart pounded. What happens now? The old man pointed behind him, toward the city, where the sky had begun to darken. You must choose what to carry back. The old man asked Laddie to follow him into the cave. Inside, ancient symbols glowed faintly on the walls, images of humans, cities, stars, doors. At the cave's deepest point stood a mirror, and it showed Laddie's apartment. Laddie saw the open wardrobe and the concealed door. And he gasped. The old man turned to him, pointing to the mirror, and said, "That is your world." Laddie looked at the old man with the intention to say something, but the sentence did not form. The old man smiled gently and said, "The world you just saw here exists only to one." At that moment, Laddie's lips finally parted and he asked, "If this place exists only to one, what are you?" The old man smiled gently again and said, "I am not a man. I am memory, a witness." Laddie's brows lifted as his eyes widened with surprise. The old man nodded and the mirror shimmered. He asked Laddie to move towards it. As Laddie stepped close to the mirror, fear surged through him and asked, "If I go back, will I remember?" The old man's voice echoed softly, "It depends on whether you choose to live or merely exist." When Laddie stepped through the mirror, he found himself back in his apartment, kneeling before the wardrobe. The wall was solid. The knob had disappeared. And the seams on the wall were no longer present. But he noticed something within him had changed. From that day, he no longer rushed through life. He listened. He questioned. He sat with silence. And sometimes, at night, when the world grew loud with distraction, he would swear he smelled smoke, and heard an ancient voice reminding him that some words do not disappear. They wait for us to remember why we are alive. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to discover more of our stories.